Field Creative with Désiré, the Brand Maverick. Before we get into it, I just wanted to thank you for following me into this tilted rabbit hole where we learn about the entrepreneur journey and all the magnificent and terrifying things that come with it. If you're an entrepreneur and you want to increase your brand exposure, network internationally, and gain insights, then follow the breadcrumbs in the show notes to my site where you can find everything you need to start your business, grow your brand, and accelerate your income today. I even have a live show every Monday that you can attend. It's free brand awareness and exposure, and you get to meet some really cool people on the show. It's such incredible value, and you don't have to pay a penny for it. Now it's time. Let's jump straight into the rabbit hole. So thank you so much for coming on the Entrepreneur Spotlight today. It is amazing to have you here. So just for those who are now tuning in, do you want to tell them your name, what's the name of your company, and tell them a little bit about what you do?
Thank you. Thank you very much for being invited. I'm Thomas. Thomas Jepsen. I'm working with ACT, which is the first collaborative marketplace for sustainable shopping and a data gathering platform where anyone can add any product from any store in less than 3 seconds. And they can also, if they find a store without navigation, they can put navigation in that store. And we're working on the launch of those features right now.
Did you just say navigation of the store?
Yeah, inside the store. Wouldn't you like that? What would happen with your shopping if you had navigation in all the stores, and if you just basically all?
You know how quickly I can get in and out of a shop.
Exactly. And you could maybe see how fast you could get in and get those items you need, because now we know the fastest route to the store, right? Of any store,
yes.
Not just like the corner store, the Indian corner store close by, right? You know, they do actually have maybe more products than you think, because you're not so used to those brands that they have, but they might sometimes they have a lot of
yes, they do
overlap.
Yeah, they definitely do. Oh my God, that's amazing. So what led you down this rabbit hole?
Yeah. Well, I think the crazy thing today is that we all think that someone else is going to fix climate change. We all believe that is either government, it's green tech, it's never you. When in fact you are sitting on 60% of the gross domestic product as shoppers, right? And if we could coordinate that money to the tomato A or tomato B, right? Then we could have a huge impact, because that is more climate friendly. Because what would happen then is that tomato B would see, hey, I'm low rated. I would like to get higher rated so I can sell my tomatoes. And so they will get solar panels, and then tomato A will see, hey, now they're higher than us, and now we should get thermal power or something. And then you get this compound competition over time, which yields the biggest impact in each of those product categories. So that's why if you can build a tool that can, in a matter of seconds, make it very easy to make a shopping list. 54% of all people make shopping lists of some sort.
Yes.
You can then add your tomatoes, you can add your carrots and Gruyere cheese or whatever. Then you can press optimize, and then you can set a program selector for example, the best combination of I see CO2 and price. That's what you care about. And then you can hit optimize, and then it looks into all the stores around you. And then it figures out, okay, for the tomatoes, what's the best brand for this? For the carrots, what's the best brand for this compared to what you want? And then you can pick whatever shopping scenario, which is the highest rated or whatever rated. And then you have a shopping list, and it takes you seconds, right? And then you're coordinating large amount of money. Yeah.
That's insane. So basically you're actually playing on the competitive nature of companies to force them to become more sustainable.
Yeah. You basically put your combined spending power behind what matters. Instead of, for example, the alternative is you take 1% of your revenue and you donate that to a charity. What about if you could take your entire revenue and just allocate your money right? So you motivate this compound competition with all your money instead of that 1%. And you don't lose any money. You're still buying the tomatoes, right? You're not buying them.
Yeah.
So that's that
actually
can give
a much more effective way as well. And it sounds like it actually would be a smarter method of getting it done, because I mean, people are less likely to donate to a charity than just, buy from a sustainable shop in the first place.
That's true. It's probably potentially deeper integrated in your life that you're buying food that you need to eat to live.
Yeah, so you might as well just buy food that's already climate friendly.
Yeah, exactly. That also, exactly. And there's a
Wow.
lot of difference between products. I mean, that's the reason why you do this, right? Because, for example, if you buy a tomato from Holland versus, or even London, I guess, versus a tomato from Spain, the tomatoes in London are probably most likely 75% of the energy footprint of tomato production is the heating of the greenhouses. So they're most likely been heated by fossil fuel, like natural gas or something similar to that.
Yeah.
In London, but not in Spain. They will be heated, maybe not in this season, but they are actually mostly heated by the sun. So the difference in CO2 emissions is 10 times, up to 10 times. So that's a lot of difference. And a lot of products have this problem, right? And if you then can allocate money to the ones that actually will have a less CO2, then you can make a difference.
You don't even think about that.
Yeah. I have a funny.
I'm literally just sat here. I'm like, oh my God, I've never, ever, ever thought about that. So on the topic of food, will this also include products that are GMO and non-GMO as well, or are we not going down that route?
Yeah, we just track as many metrics as we can for every product. It could be organic, it could be GMO free, it could be vegan. Imagine if you're vegan. I'm mostly vegan. I'm not religious about it, but it's kind of hard to find vegan actually if you go.
I know. Believe me, I know. I'm actually allergic to dairy, so finding vegan food is challenging, or finding anything that's just dairy free, because I eat meat, but it needs to be dairy free meat. So if I buy frozen food, for instance, with the rest of the family, they all have their normal stuff, and I have to have like vegan stuff because there's nothing that's actually dairy free. It's either 100% dairy or vegan.
Right. So you have your little small package with you, and you, Mom, I know you put this on the table, but
Yep. And everything has to be bought in like two of everything, because like even like milk, for instance, obviously I can't have milk, I have to have oat milk. And like desserts have to be two different things. One's for everyone else and then one's for me. And it's very, 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 very challenging. So yep, I get it.
Imagine if you go to a new location, right? And then suddenly you don't know where you're to get your items.
Oh, yep, I did. That happened to me when I moved from Trinidad back to the UK. And I was an adult and I hadn't been back and forth, so I had no idea what anything was. And it was insane, because I actually, for the first couple of weeks, I actually didn't know what to eat, because I was like, with the exception of chips and beans on toast and like the really basic stuff, I was like, well, what do English people eat other than takeaway? So it took me a while. It did genuinely take me a while. And then, well, I was just cooking like Indian food because that's what I'm used to. And then I realized that that's actually like probably 50% of all British food is actually Indian. So
yeah, that's easy. That's easy then. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that nutrition is a big. Actually, I think that's one of the biggest reasons why you would want to use an app like Act, because you have some. I mean, okay, so I don't know if you're familiar with this guy called Peter Attia, who's like a famous doctor who wrote this book recently called Outlive, which is about.
But I will definitely read it.
It's like extending your life length and also the amount of time that you have health, right? So one of the examples he shows is like, I want to be 100 years old and I want to be able to lift a 7-pound baby. And in order to do that, I need X amount of VO2 max. And then knowing that you lose 10 to 15% VO2 max every decade, you can then calculate back to where you are today. And then you know, oh man, I need to actually be much, much higher average than I have today.
So basically, this guy did the math.
Yeah. So nutrition.
He literally did the math for
Yes.
being able and worked it backwards. That's insane.
Yeah, that was a pretty good idea. And
Yeah.
nutrition is a big deal of that. Nutrition and training, of course, is the biggest, and then nutrition and
Yeah.
sleep and emotional order. Those are important things.
No, that's incredible. So, what kind of clientele are you looking for ACT?
Yeah, so we are, of course, looking for people who care about the environment and but also care about potentially nutrition and who wants to act on it. And because today they can't, like, there's no way they can do it. And we're also looking for investors, of course, angels for our company. Because why wouldn't we want to try and build the biggest
absolutely
platform on the market and then earn some money on that, right? So that's those are the things. We have launched.
That's incredible.
We have launched a little pilot last December, and now we're adding some features to that so that we can launch with some more features that are extremely scalable and hopefully be in London soon.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
no,
but our analysis shows that we can map the entire world of grocery stores in less than 5 years, which no other company can do that, and that's because we outsource the data gathering to the end shopper. So if you are like a climate activist or a climate enthusiast, you can subscribe and help gather small amounts of data. It takes less than 40 seconds per data point. So it's not a big deal. It's just that we need a lot of people to help us do that. So.
Wow.
And we're not a conglomerate. We're a democratic software company. I think that's a very special thing.
Yeah, it definitely is. That definitely is. I think it is really. I love that you are able to kind of, well, you're outsourcing it to the end user. I think that's a really clever way to like actually get your data out there, because it means that it takes the heavy workload off of you, so that you can run this on a much tighter budget, so it's not incredibly expensive for you guys on your end, and you can also use whatever funding that you do get to improve it rather than spend it also on data entry.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really good. So
had it been very costly to gather the data, right, then it would have been you have to put money in to grow. But if you can take away that cost, or at least make it as minimum as possible, we might give discounts to people, of course, but still, you can take that out, the faster you can grow, and that's why it's possible to reach a global scale in 5 years, maybe even less than that.
That's crazy. So how does it work for the end user? Walk me through a user experience.
Yeah, you add items to a shopping list, you press optimize, you select, say, best combination of CO2 and price, and you hit optimize, and it finds a number of shopping scenarios with, say, up to 2 shops, if that's what you're okay with. And then you can pick your scenario, and it basically gives you a new shopping list with optimized brands for that shop, and shows you the price, the product, and the in-store location.
So and you also said that it pretty much has like an internal map of each shop.
Yes. So
literally, you just have to follow the map to figure out where things are. So it's much faster anyway, because when you're running around a shop looking for something in particular, and you have to first of all go find someone. Now it's literally just here, and it literally for the most efficient route as well to get in and out that quickly.
Yeah, it's amazing. I don't know about you, but if I go to a shop where I have been before, I've been there tons of times, I always end up going zigzag. But that you could totally avoid that if you knew where the products were and you have them on a list, right? So that I think that would really change a lot.
That would be so much more efficient, because I end up going through aisles and aisles and aisles and aisles and up and down throughout stuff. That's literally how I do it, and I end up spending like 2 hours. So what I end up doing now is I just online shop, because I don't have that kind of time anyway. I don't really do that much shopping personally. But whatever I do buy, when I do buy shopping, it's either I run to the Tesco Express, which is literally right down the road, pick up a few bits, or when I'm doing a bigger shop, I just do it online now because I genuinely don't have the time, energy, or patience to try to figure things out. And it's just it's a literal time suck, and I need that. I need those 2 hours, even if I would rather sleep for those 2 hours, to be honest, than have to go like.
Yeah, no. I totally agree. I think the time wasted on shopping is a lot, and if you can find a way to minimize that, that would be better. The majority of shopping is still done in physical stores, and I think personally, if I had to pick my my cauliflower and especially cauliflower and especially broccoli, I want to touch the items myself and maybe even taste them, right? So physical shops will exist for a while, I think, forward.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think of all of the years I've been online shopping, there's only once I've ever received one item that wasn't up to scratch, and it was actually my fault because it should have been in the refrigerator and I left it out overnight by accident. And when I went back the next day, it wasn't great.
Right.
That was my fault. That was a user error.
Well, that's pretty good. One is
Yeah.
very little, and they need to do that, of course, otherwise they're out of business.
Yeah, obviously. So, how much time do you spend working on your business and not in your business?
Too much time. My daughter says, "Dad, you work too much," and she's right about that. But then I tell her, you know what? You can be an action hero. Oh, what is that? Well, you can add probably, your 10 of your family members, like your uncle and your aunt, and yes, you can do that. You can probably call each of them and also have them invite, 10 people each. Yeah. You know how much money you would be shifting or coordinating towards more sustainable value chains if you did that? Yeah. It's like 100,000 euro every year, and you're 13 years old, and you just, happen to invite a few people. What if you go down the Promenade Street in Oslo, or like, it's insane the amount of monetary impact we can have if we just coordinate. That's why I believe that the collaborative power that we as humans have, if we just connect ourselves much stronger than we have today, it's nothing compared to where we are today. I mean, we can do wonders, right? We can solve all our problems. I think it's the biggest unlock that probably comes before we unlock the generative or the general artificial intelligence. And it would be good to unlock it before, because we will be able to handle those crazy technologies.
Oh, absolutely. I think it is difficult to kind of get everyone across the globe on the same page. And I also think that with climate and with climate change in particular, it is difficult, because even when you think about the CO2 impacts that, are very basic, say canned food. Everybody in the UK has canned food. Tins is a very popular thing. And, think about the factories that have made that, but then think about the machinery that builds those factories, those parts, all of that stuff. It's like everything is so CO2 intensive that when it comes down to like little me, you tend to think, well, I'm not going to have much of a footprint. But if we all did it, then it would work.
It would work.
But it's a matter of getting everyone on the same page, and I think that is a challenge. With, I guess, from my generation go up, but from the generation from millennials down to Gen Zers and Gen Zers, pretty much they are really, really, like my younger sister. She's going to be 20 soon. But I think she is a lot more kind of focused on sustainability rather than me. Whereas I go, okay, unfortunately, this iPhone, the technology that I use is made in a factory, and I don't have much control over that. Would I change the technology that I use for something that's more sustainable? Probably not. And that's the thing, because I won't sacrifice the quality for sustainability at this point. However, if there was an option, same quality with sustainability, 100% I'd go down that route. By the way, Apple has a massive sustainability campaign anyway, but that's not just use. Would I change it for, say, Samsung if they were doing more? The frustration of moving it over is just too great for me as an individual. But if everybody did it, then it kind of would have been like, oh, everybody else is doing it, then I'm more likely to.
Yeah.
You know, so it is interesting to kind of see how different generations think about that stuff. Because my sister, for instance, she refuses to shop at certain places because they aren't sustainable. I know a lot of young people like that. People much younger than I am. So, and it's absolutely incredible.
And imagine if you could see how much money you together with others are also doing, so that you could feel and see the monetary dynamic that you together with others have. I mean, that would be, I mean, it doesn't take many users to actually make that number really, really big. And that will, then you have no excuse anymore. I mean, I think it's okay to not, it's okay to not eat, I mean, to not care so much about eating red meat and all that stuff now, because there's no coordination of the effort. But once you have a coordination or a possibility of coordinating, then there's no excuse. Then it's like, maybe you should switch to chicken.
You might actually know this. So how much of the methane in our atmosphere at the moment is contributed by cows?
I have no clue how big that number is.
Okay, because I know it's a massive, 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 massive number. I once thought that it was because it was when every time they farted, you know, it was just a massive cloud of methane. Apparently it's when they burp, but I did not know that. And I don't know which is which because I actually never did the research behind it. But I do know that if we stopped eating beef, for instance, if everybody just stopped eating it, we stopped eating hamburgers, never going to happen. But yeah, if we all stop eating hamburgers and stop eating steaks, then it would actually cut a huge chunk of the emissions out as well, because that's a massive contributor to it. So, you know, it's just there's so many ways. I love this method of kind of collecting data on food, because that actually, it helps. It's not just about emissions though, is it? It's about kind of if it's actually organic or not. Because some people say that it's kind of it's organic, but it's like branded organic, but it isn't really organic. Some people prefer to have things that are non-GMO. People who have food allergies, for instance, prefer to stay away from things that have certain things in them. So I think that's absolutely incredible what you're doing.
And if you have the data, right, then you can very easily find those things, because they can sometimes be hidden gems, or they can be at a farm but it's very next door to you maybe. So it would be very easy to just have the accessibility. But I have another answer to the question about the number, because it is true that cows and agriculture in general is having a massive impact on, and the food system in general has a massive impact on our ecosystems. Like we're talking more than 80% on deforestation and biodiversity just by the food system, right? Climate change is between, I think, 26 to 30% impact on climate change for food. But I mean, the other things is just incredibly big. And what you say with the energy footprint of feeding a cow, I think you put 25 energy units into a cow and then you eat the cow, right? But you only get one energy unit out of putting 25 in. On average, on a cow it's 37 or something like that. But the average for animals is like 25 energy in, 1 out. So, and we spent 43% of land on the planet is used for grazing animals. So it's super bad use of resources and super bad use of energy.
Not even super bad. That's terrible. That's terrible. We have a housing crisis. Like we have a housing crisis. We've got a lack of potable water, of fresh water. Why aren't we thinking more about this? Why aren't we having more conversations about this? Maybe I'm just not included in those conversations, but whenever you say that, it's just one of those things. It's just like, oh my God, what has nothing been done?
I mean, for the non-vegans, I would say I think it's very, very non-aligned. I'm not judging or anything, because as it is today, it doesn't matter. But I do believe that it's not very aligned with a just and loving future to kill 5.4 billion animals, 240 million of them of
No,
land
I get
every
that.
day. Every day. It's like,
Yeah, but we aren't, you see, I understand the requirement for proteins. I mean, I was actually vegan for a very, very, very long time. I did get sick, and then not from being vegan. I had Lyme disease. And there was a particular amino acid that I couldn't process properly from plant-based,
right,
but I needed to get it from meat, and that's how I started eating meat again.
of course.
It's been almost impossible now for me to try to, because I now live in a household with 5 other meat eaters. So me trying to cook for myself is just a bit difficult. It is more challenging unless everybody did it, especially when you live in a household. It does become much more challenging. If you're living on your
Yeah,
own,
it does.
then it is easy. It is much easier if you live on your own to be able to go, well, I can just have a salad, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is quite challenging. But you are right. If we all stopped for a minute, or even not necessarily completely eliminate it, but massively reduce it. So when I was growing up, we would have vegetarian food 5 days a week. We'd only ever eat meat, and we'd eat chicken, which was locally grown, locally raised from our very nearby butchers. We would get chicken from there on a Saturday or a Sunday, and the rest of the week was vegan food or vegetarian food. And growing up like that, I didn't miss out on anything. We still had everything else, but I think at least, if not completely eliminating it, because I think trying to eliminate meat eating is going to be a very hard thing. Also, I'm not sure if I can live without steak now. But and I know saying this to someone who is like pro vegan is difficult to process, but I think as a global society, it's much easier to go weekdays as vegetarian and weekends as meat eating, because that will cut 5 days of 7 completely out, and that is a much more sustainable route than everybody kind of moving to veganism, because it might not be the right move for everybody health wise, especially because there are some people who require very particular amino acids that can only be found, or that can only be processed properly in your own system if it comes from a animal protein source as opposed to plant-based protein source. So, and I found that out myself because I didn't realize that was a thing, because my hair was literally falling out in handfuls.
Wow.
And I couldn't understand why. I was like, I feel fine. But then when I look back on it, I was really tired. I was really I wasn't completely low energy, because when you move to vegan, you suddenly get like loads of energy anyway. But yeah, it was that. And when I added in small amounts, my condition improved. So it might not work for everyone, but I think reducing it would probably be a much more sustainable method moving forward, as opposed to going completely like no meat or completely meat free, because that is challenging. But now they've got 50-50. Like I saw Tesco's the other day, I saw they had 50-50 sausages. I haven't had them yet, but yeah, they do 50-50, where it's 50% plant-based and 50% meat-based, and that might be a really good kind of go between for a lot of people. So if we did 50-50, then that would actually cut, if everybody did 50-50, that would actually cut the intake down by, I would say, 30 to 40%.
Yeah, could be working. I mean, anything that moves the needle, I think, is interesting. I totally understand people who I used to eat meat a lot, right? When I go home to my mom for Christmas, she will serve meat and I will have to eat it, and that's fine.
Oh yes, you'll have to eat it because that's your mum. So you must do what mum says.
Yeah. But as long as we're not coordinating it, it doesn't really matter so much, right? So that's what I at least say. But I could not imagine, like 6 years ago, I couldn't imagine one day without meat. So I totally understand that it's not going to be easy to change the behavior once we get to that stage.
It is difficult to do it, because I remember at one point I was like, there's no way I can live without bacon. Now I literally cannot stand the smell of it. It makes me feel sick. So I've suddenly gone from bacon is life to, because that's funny enough, that was one of the things that I actually really missed when I was vegan, think that was probably the only thing I really, really
Right.
missed was bacon. And my mom got me these. They were vegan bacon flavored bits. So she would literally like make a sandwich for me and like sprinkle them in. And she's like, "Well, that's your bacon. That's the closest you can get to it." But yeah, it was silly stuff like that. But now it's just like, no, I can't stand it. As I'm getting older, I am naturally kind of moving more towards plant-based, more away from, especially now that I'm allergic to dairy, because obviously I can't have any cheese. I now live a life without pizza.
Right.
But I have found vegan cheese that actually melts like mozzarella and melts like cheddar. BioLife is like incredible. It comes in black packaging. Look out for it if you are listening to this podcast. This is a shout out for BioLife. I am not a sponsor. Please come sponsor me. I'll be a lovely brand ambassador. BioLife, you hear me? Anyway.
Yeah, that's the worst, to live without cheese. Oh man, unfortunately, I am allergic to cheese, but I love cheese. It's just fantastic.
I love cheese. Wait, you're also allergic to cheese?
I can eat it, but I will get some allergic reaction after 3 days or something like that. But it's not a big deal.
Wow.
But yeah.
No, I'm like EpiPen anaphylactic kind of allergy now. So wow, okay. I really can't. Cheese is probably one of the worst ones for me. Yeah, I react the worst to cheese. So it sucks, but I just have to try and find the alternatives. Yeah. So if you had unlimited resources, unlimited time, unlimited money, unlimited people, what world problem would you solve?
Collaboration between people. That is absolutely the one thing that needs to be done very, very fast. I think, if we could collaborate together, we could move the money in a money-driven system to where we want to see change happen. It could be inequality. It could be climate change. It could be deforestation. It could be a lot of things that you can.
Could you imagine if the whole world was coordinated effectively? Could you imagine what we could do for fast fashion and, to put the food industry aside, world hunger?
Yeah.
If absolutely. We were all coordinated.
If we could go beyond just coordinating our food shopping and basically enabling collective intelligence at a much, much higher level, that will be an interesting future. And I think ChatGPT and LLMs in general is a step in that direction, because we kind of connected together our shared knowledge using ChatGPT. So it's kind of connecting us that way. I'm hoping, and I think there is a missing step, and it's structured methods, or structured processes. Then I think the next step for the LLMs is basically they will try and discover those processes in videos and other places. But I think actually that will be a hard step to solve, and I think we can solve that better, humans, before that, and then use LLMs to then get that missing part that would make us incredibly collaborating, actually. And then we could get help for anything, minute to minute, if we want it. Yeah.
Just think about a world where everyone is literally collaborative, like global collaboration, real global collaboration.
Yeah. That would be insane. It would be
capitalism would die.
That's probably true, and we would be having these micropayments all the time for the absolute maximum creativity that we want to work with at the maximum all the time. And we could work in 100 companies, and it would be not a problem. We'd just be like, another day at the office. I think it's going to be very interesting. Yeah.
I'm crossing fingers. AI gods, please hear me. Like, let's get this, please. Thank you very much. Whichever ones you are, whatever language, whatever pantheon you are from, hear me. We need this, honestly.
Here you go.
No. I hope so, right? But okay, so what has been the absolute hardest thing about entrepreneurship for you?
For me in particular, knowing, because in Norway it's probably one of the worst places to raise capital in all of the world, at least all of Europe. It's the biggest climate skeptic in all of Europe, and it's
Wait, Norway?
Norway. Yeah, it's the richest country per capita. But if you go to Sweden or Denmark, where I'm from, then you get 5 times more business angel investments. If you go to UK, it's 20 times more, right? Because you guys are just much more used to this investment idea, the idea of helping, investing in a cool concept that you can earn money from. US is 50 times more, right?
Yeah.
So what I've learned is basically, damn, don't be satisfied with droplet financing. Get enough money to really hire people, because you can't get people to work without paying them. You can I have hired a lot of people and tried to make them work on shares. It's almost impossible for long, because you need this marathon. You don't need a sprint, you need a marathon. And you can't get people to work on a marathon for shares and equity only. You really need to pay them. So that's, I think, the biggest learning. And I will probably be much, much more and more errors. Yeah. But yeah, you can do whatever you want if you just set your mind to it. And that's, I think, the reason why we're talking today is because of that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I 100% believe that. So what would be your parting gift of wisdom for those in the audience today?
Okay. Try to get into a company that gives you the possibility of using let's say you're a developer like you and me, and a UX designer. You get into a company that actually will do something that will have a large impact, because that's the best way to increase your impact, because we really need to solve these problems. I think that's the biggest take home. Could be ACT. We need developers and DevOps people and test engineers and life cycle assessment specialists and advisors and things like that, investors. Yeah. Get into those companies that really can make a difference to those challenges. That is my biggest. And know how powerful you are if you're in those categories. I think especially if you can work with software, with whatever you have. It could be that you are be an interaction designer, but it could also be that you are basically just a project manager who works with software developers who can then reach 2 billion people, or you're an advisor to a company, an investor, something that can reach billions of people and do the right thing. I think democracy is also interesting. Get into a company that has a different governance system, right? Yeah. Not necessarily this traditional hierarchical structure where you have 1-2%
top-down kind of structure. Yeah.
Somewhere where you as an employee decide what to produce, and what to do with the profits. That would be a great place to work, I think, because then
that's incredible. That's definitely something that I wish I knew when I was younger as well, when I was actually working. That would have been unreal, and that would have probably set me on a very, very different path as well. So thank you for sharing that wisdom. That was actually awesome.
Great.
Well, I just want to say thank you for coming on the Entrepreneur Spotlight. All of the details to connect with Thomas will be in the show notes below. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
You can listen to this podcast and many more on tiltnexus.com, which is our free platform for entrepreneurs across the world. See you on the Nexus.